You ever notice how some of the absolute smartest people you know seem to be, well, kind of alone? Today, we're going to dive into this really fascinating, counterintuitive idea, why highly intelligent people often have very few, if any, close friends. And, as our source material points out, this isn't always some kind of accident.
So yeah, that really is the big question, isn't it? Why are the smartest people so often on their own? Is it a choice? Is it some weird side effect of being a genius? Or is there something much, much deeper going on inside their heads? Let's unpack the psychology behind it all. And here's the main idea right up front. The whole argument is that this isn't about being socially awkward or, unlikable. Not at all. It's actually about a few very specific psychological patterns that make creating and keeping typical friendships, well, really, really difficult. So let's break down exactly what those patterns are.
All right, first up, let's look at what's actually happening inside the mind of a superintelligent person when they're in a social situation. The key isn't so much what they say, it's what they are constantly thinking.
It all kicks off with this trait called hyper-self-awareness. Now, this isn't just regular self-consciousness, it's more like an intense, non-stop internal narrator, where your brain is analyzing every little glance, every word choice, every tiny shift in tone from the people around you, all to figure out, how are they seeing me right now?
And the result of all that analysis? You're never really in the moment. Instead of just connecting with someone, you're stuck in what the source calls mental observation mode. You become a scientist studying the interaction instead of just a person enjoying it. And that, right there, makes any real bonding almost impossible.
But here's the thing, that intense analysis isn't just pointed inward, it's also aimed squarely at other people. And that's where they start to perceive way too much. They spot all the little things that most of us just let slide.
So what's really fascinating here is this low tolerance for anything that feels fake. Because their social perception is turned up to 11, they can immediately spot the little performances we all do. They can hear the slight strain in a forced laugh or see the calculation behind a compliment that isn't quite genuine. To them, it's as obvious as a blinking neon sign.
And here's the crucial part. We live in a social world that pretty much runs on pleasantries and, let's be honest, little white lies. So a person who just can't stand fakeness will naturally pull back. They refuse to play the part, and that refusal, that honesty, can be incredibly isolated.
Okay, this brings us to the next big psychological pattern. We're shifting a bit from social perception to how they handle emotions. And it's all about this fierce, almost radical sense of independence.
Just look at this process. When a highly intelligent person runs into a problem, their first instinct isn't to pick up the phone and vent to a friend. Nope, their instinct is to go inward. They'll analyze the problem, process all the feelings that come with it, and work out a solution, all by themselves. It's like they have this super efficient internal problem-solving system. But here's the social downside to all that efficiency. Most friendships are built on us needing each other, on being vulnerable together. By being so emotionally self-reliant, they don't really leave any room for other people to step in, to help, or to feel needed, which, let's face it, is a huge part of what bonds people together.
And this self-reliance isn't just emotional. It's intellectual, too. Psychologists have a term for it, low social conformity. It's this deep, built-in need to think for yourself, to question the way things are, and to really resist that powerful pull of the group mentality.
And you can just picture this, right? While everyone else in the room is nodding along, the person with low social conformity is the one who hangs back. They're the one asking the uncomfortable question, or pointing out the tiny flaw in the logic. And while that might earn them a quiet kind of respect, it also permanently marks them as an outsider.
So, finally, let's talk about the actual substance of socializing, conversation. For a lot of intelligent minds, this is the biggest hurdle of them all. This slide just lays it out so perfectly. So much of our day-to-day conversation falls into that small talk column, right? Gossip, the weather, all those polite but kind of meaningless pleasantries. But what these minds are absolutely starving for is real talk. Big ideas, deep dives into psychology, and yeah, even uncomfortable truths.
And for them, the choice is pretty simple. They get physically bored and just mentally drained by all that surface-level stuff. They would genuinely, truly rather sit alone in silence than spend hours in a conversation that feels totally empty and pointless. So when you start connecting all these dots, the hyper-analytical mind, the almost allergic reaction to anything fake, that fierce self-reliance, and this deep hunger for real conversation, a much bigger picture starts to come into focus.
And what it all really boils down to is this one simple, powerful idea. Being alone isn't a sign of failure.
It's not a lack of social skills, it's just the natural outcome of having a fundamentally different value system, one that consistently puts other things ahead of just fitting in.
And this quote from our source just hits the nail on the head. Being a loner doesn't mean you're broken. It might just mean that your mind is hardwired to value authenticity, intellectual honesty, and deep, meaningful truth way more than the comfort of belonging to the group.
And that really leaves us with one final, kind of provocative question to think about. When you really get down to it, in the quiet moments of your own life, which one does your mind truly value more, truth or belonging?